Welcome back, everyone, to my YouTube channel, and thank you for tuning in. Email does not need to be cumbersome, and you should not have to do app switching, or at least minimize app switching when all you need is email something out of Business Central. So if you stick around, I will show you how quickly you can set this functionality in Business Central and start emailing away. All right, so before you start emailing in Business Central, the first thing you need to do is make sure that you have an email system, obviously. And you may have to work with your IT department to be able to know which option you have when you're emailing out of Business Central. There are many ways to email, or many ways to, set up your email, whether that you may have an SMTP relay, an Exchange server, whatever that may be. You have to do a little bit more work behind that to make sure that you have, or you're using the correct configuration and setup. You also need to make sure that you understand how, or the experience you want to give to your customers when you're emailing out of Business Central. But in today's video, we're just going to walk you through how to set up the email and how you can quickly start emailing out of Business Central. For example, emailing an invoice to your customer. So the first thing we're going to do is navigate to email or assisted setup. There are three different ways to get to it. At least the easiest ways to get to it is by clicking this Tell Me search icon in your menu bar. And you want to search for assisted setup. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and navigate to assisted setup. And if you scroll down all the way to the not bottom, it's very close to get ready for the first invoice, is this option here called Setup Outgoing Email. So if I go ahead and click on this, it's going to let me know I've already set it up because I have already set this up. That's one way to get to it. The other option is clicking this Tell Me menu or button, and I'm going to go ahead and search for Set Up Email. And I'm going to go ahead and click this Setup Email right here. And what this does is pulls up the assisted setup menu, in this case, setting up your email. So that's one way to set this up, one way to set up your email. The other option is if you search for email accounts in the Tell Me menu. And when I'm going to, and what I'm going to do is click this email accounts page. It's going to pull up the page for email accounts. Notice I don't have anything set up at the moment. So I can go ahead and click the new button here and add an email account. You'll notice that the setup email is similar to the other menus, whether you go through the setup email or the assisted setup. Since I'm already here, what I'm going to do is just set up the email where I'm at. So the first thing I'm going to do is click next. And here it's going to give me three different options. Okay. So there are different scenarios. Again, it really depends what's available for you. And again, you may have to work with your IT department. So the first option is Microsoft 365. You have shared mailboxes for Microsoft 365. And one of the reasons why you would want to use a shared mailbox is if, for example, you're emailing something from accounting, you may have an accounting email that is generic, maybe accounting or AP or AR@company.com. So that's one option. The second option would be current user. So based on my login, based on my email address, the email account that I use to log into my Business Central, in this case, I'm in SaaS, software as a service, cloud version, then I would go ahead and log in or use my current user account. The third option is SMTP. In SMTP, if you have email servers that have relays like this, you may want to set this up, especially if your IT suggests that you use an SMTP email. So with this example, I'm just going to go ahead and use the current email address, my current email address in this case. So I'm going to choose current user and click next. And here's going to let me know that everyone who uses this account must have a valid license for Microsoft Exchange. So you must have a valid inbox. More likely you do, right? If you're one of the resources that's going to email to the client. So I'm going to click next here. And here I have an option to set this as my default. In this case, it's going to be my default account, and I'm going to go ahead and just leave that check. Now I can also send a test email here just to confirm that I can email out of Business Central. So what I'm going to do is click this button, send test email. And I'm going to go ahead and just email it to myself. And you see, it gives me a result. It says test email has been sent to myself. And so far it was delivered successfully. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK here and then finish. And here you are. I now have an email account. Now you can set up other users as well that would be, that you want to allow to email out of Business Central, or you may have a shared mailbox. Okay. So that's it. That's pretty easy. You can do this in several minutes, in a couple minutes to set up an email. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test this out. I'm going to go ahead and navigate to posted sales invoice. So I'm going to click this tell me and search for posted sales invoice. Because what I want to do is start emailing invoices to my customers. And so to let them know, hey, there's an invoice, outstanding invoice that they need to pay. So I'm going to go ahead and click posted sales invoice. And as I navigate through posted sales invoices, there's different ways to email invoices. One, directly from the list, you can click on print send and send by email. Okay. The other option is if I drill into the record itself, I also have that print send, and it's now called email. So since I'm already here, what I'm going to do is send the email directly from this record. So I'm going to go ahead and click email here. And what's it doing is going to generate the PDF invoice for this particular record, for this particular posted sales invoice. So as you notice, I'm going to go ahead and just make this a little bit larger. You'll see that the current user is me, and it's coming from me, and it's going to get emailed to meganbond@contoso.com. And you'll see the subject is already filtered or populated in my message. Okay. Now, I have received some questions in the past is, can you make this change? Can you have a default? Yes, you can. We'll do that in a separate video because that is an entirely different template that you can set up where this would auto-populate or have a default template for your message as well as your subject. In this case, I'm going to go use what's outside the box. Majority of the time, this is enough. It's going to give you enough information to email to your customer. It's going to tell me what company, okay, whatever your company is, the document type, and then the document number. The body of the email is going to tell me a little bit more information, the invoice number, the due date, the dollar amount, and who it's coming from, and or who is it going to, where from, and the address. Okay. Cool thing about this too is it gives you an option very similar to Outlook, and this is where I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the video. This is going to minimize app switching or get rid of it at all entirely. One of the benefits in this is that if you don't use this functionality and you can print to PDF, which is still an option, you would then have to save that locally, drive or whatever drive you have, local drive or maybe a OneDrive, and then open up your Outlook and then create a new email and then copy and paste the email address or this recipient and then add an attachment, and you're gonna have to write a body of the email. You can get rid of all that process and just do this all under Business Central, and saving you a lot of time. And all the formatting is there as you would if you were to do this in your Outlook. Down the bottom, there are attachments. Attachments in this case is the file source, or the file from the source in this case. This is based on some of the templates or based on the doc and some profile. document profile. And it's going to generate this PDF, and this PDF is going to automatically attach this to your email. There are several options too, so you can expand upon that. So you can add additional file attachments directly from here. So maybe you need to add additional information, additional attachment, whatever that may be, that's local to your machine. You can add file from the source. Now, add file from the source is already associated to this, so I'm not going to do that. And then you can add file from Word template, or you can delete the attachment entirely. So in this case, I'm going to leave it alone because I just need to send this invoice to this customer. Okay. You can also click Show More, which gives you a little bit more option. In this case, CC, right, carbon copy, and blind carbon copy. And you can also drill into that as well. So when you drill into these records, these information gets pulled in different entities. In this case, select entities, different records. So you can pull in from the contact, from the customer card, the vendor, or an employee. So if you had multiple contacts for this company, then you can also see that directly from there. So, or you can manually type it here as well. So with that, I am pretty much ready to send this out. So what I do is click Send Email. And there you go. It sent an email. Obviously, there's no indication that it was successful. However, there is an built-in sent email page. So to do that, to confirm that it was sent successfully, all I'm going to do is search for the word sent email. And here it is, sent emails. So I'm going to navigate to sent emails. And you can see that all the emails that were sent out of Business Central under my name. In this case, I can see, well, this is based on your permissions, by the way, because there are different permissions where you could only see your email. You may not see other people's email. So if we take a look at today's date, if you recall, I did the test email message when I first initially set this up. And then here's the record that I just sent to the customer, Megan Bond. So I can drill into this record, and you can see what the email entails, and also the details of the body of the message and the attachment as well. Okay, now this is also synchronized to your email as well. So that is something that is beautiful about Business Central, is that it's fully integrated with other applications on the Microsoft stack. All right, so what we're going to do is confirm that this particular record is actually showing up under my sent email. So in case that you need to go back to that record from Outlook, you may need to resend it. You can go ahead and I can go ahead and navigate to that. So here's my sent email that I sent earlier. And of course, it's not going to allow me, I'm on my demo environment. It's not going to allow me to email it to myself. However, I can see that it went under my sent email successfully. So it did go out, and this is what it's going to look like if the customer was to receive this particular email address. So you can see it synchronize what you see here in your Outlook and what you see here in your sent email. So with that, you can, let's say, for example, the customer said, hey, I never received an email, and could you resend it? Okay. There's two options. Obviously, you can go ahead and resend it directly from your sent email, or go back in Business Central, find the original email address, and you can resend. This way, it creates a record in Business Central that you just resent an email. Additionally, you can also edit and send the email. In this case, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and click Edit and Send for this particular record. In here, let me expand this a little bit so you can see a little bit more. I can go ahead and make adjustments to the email I'm going to resend. In this case, let's say I'm going to put on my subject, second attempt. Maybe I just want them to know that this was my second attempt. So I've made some changes. I can also make additional changes to the body of the message and even attachments itself. And then what I'm going to do and click send is now send email. So I'm going to refresh it, and you see that there is now a resent email. This is actually way down here. It kind of sorted by maybe description. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this just to confirm that this is the email that I had sent. I can also confirm in my Outlook as well if I want to. Again, the idea of Business Central emailing directly from Business Central is to minimize app switching. So if I need to confirm, I can see that I had sent a second email in here as well, and it's fully synchronized. So within 5 to 10 minutes, you can start emailing out of Business Central. So it's fairly easy to do and get you started and start emailing confirmations, customer statements, invoices, or whatever document that you need to send out directly from Business Central. So thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions around this, please don't hesitate to reach out or make comment, and I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions. So if you like this video and you found this very helpful, please like the video, share, and for future videos I'm posting, you can also subscribe to the channel. So thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful day.